to go through this kind of quickly. But this morning, actually, specifically, the AP preseason top 25 poll for college football came out. We're going to go into college football right now. And I did the awesome thing of going through. I already had a top 25 list. It's a little bit different from what they have. There's a couple of moves and whatnot. Oregon is in the top 25. It says South Carolina. Like Boise for this one, Boise State's 25 that I had, and then but in Boise in like the top 20 or the preseason is at 23. So there's a couple of moves around, but it's not.
Way to go! You didn't get it perfect. You're fired.
I honestly, I'll tell you why Boise should be at that point. But anyways,
All right, you tell me.
Going through it real quick. I didn't go extensively into Oregon because I just saw it this morning, so I just looked at some stuff real quick. I know Willie Taggart. He moved from Oregon to Florida State, so they have a new coach there. I forgot the new coach's name. I didn't write it down. But regardless, they have a returning quarterback with Justin Herbert, and they also have they're gonna have a more mature defense this year. It looks like a lot of people are having them outside the top two teams in the Pac-12 North with Washington and Stanford. I'm not too highly on them. They're gonna have a new new coach. For me, moving around coaches isn't the best thing. It's very rare instance where a new coach can come in. It's and be really successful that first year, regardless of what he has. So Oregon, I'm not too highly on them. I didn't have like all the other stats that I did for the next 25 teams I'm going to do real quick. But regardless, they'll probably finish like third or fourth in like their conference section, not just conference total, because they have two. College football is weird. Anyways, moving on. Number 25, Boise State. My Boise State Broncos. BSU, go Big Blue. So I wrote down big games they have. I have some stats in there, some little notes. I'm going to go through what they did last year in their record and what I think they're going to do at the very end. And before that, though, too, also going to talk about key players that are still there and the key players that are going to leave or that have left. So let's get into it. So Boise State's big games. They have away at Troy, home at UConn, away at Oklahoma State. I have some of the bigger games. I feel like they're going to be bigger games. An away game at Air Force, a home game against BYU, and then I have a maybe for a home game for San Diego State because San Diego State, a lot of people have a lot of chatter around them right now. At the last thing I've seen, we have 10 returning starters on defense, which is really good. We haven't had that kind of returning numbers since like Kellen Moore's like senior year, I think, or maybe junior year. So that was like really like surprising. It's really good. I think we only lost. He went to the Cowboys. I forgot his name. It's like a really long name. Offensively, my big things with Boise State is quarterbacks. I'm gonna go like maybe a little too long for Boise, but just because. But the last game I really watched was the Washington State game I saw last year. It was a terrible game. Kozart, I think, was the guy that we had in, and we had Ripien come in, and it was just a big mess. And I really didn't follow them as much as I usually do because I was just really pissed off we lost that game. But the big thing, scoring points, defense is going to be probably as good as they did. They were tied for 23rd in interceptions last year with 15, tied for fumble recoveries in 11. So that's a lot of turnovers. Their total offense was 33rd. Total defense was 45th. Their offensive efficiency was 37. Their defensive efficiency was 27. So if you look at those numbers, really efficient on defense, and it kind of made up for the numbers on offense and what's probably going to happen. We have Brett Ripien coming back, and then Alexander Madison as well. We lost Cedric Wilson to the draft. He went to the Cowboys. Like bigger players are coming, but we usually are able to replace and reload usually, so I'm not too worried. But we went 11-3 last year. That was post bowl schedule. I think we'll go 10-12 this year. For me, I think it's going to be either an Oklahoma State game that we might lose, and then it's going to be somewhere in the conference. Don't know where it's going to be.
10-2 or 10-12? You said 10-12.
10-2.
Okay. 10-12.
So, 24 big games for Virginia Tech, the Hokies. We got away at Florida State, home at Notre Dame, and I put a maybe for Miami because I don't know if Miami's actually going to be good this year again. Total offense for them is at 47 ranked. Total defense is 11. Offensive efficiency is 62. Defensive efficiency is at 20. They are probably going to be defensive heavily again this. Well, no, they lost some people, so they probably won't be defensive heavily. It just going to depend on how they replace. They do have some players coming back, Josh Jackson, and then there was a running back. I don't think I put it down, but they did lose Callum Phillips to the draft. For me, I think they might slip up in one of those games. Obviously, they went 9-4 last year. I believe they're probably going to go 9-3 this year. It's just going to depend on the offense making the least amount of mistakes. But they did do really well last year, I think, because of their defense. But they only gave up 60 penalties, which is actually pretty decent. They were 22nd in the country. So, like I said, they'll probably have a decent year. Hokie fans, be excited. 23, Mississippi State, the Bulldogs. I'm remembering these. Away at Kansas State, home at Florida, home at Auburn, away at LSU, home at Texas A&M, and then away at Bama. They have four of those games are all in a row. I think it goes Florida, Auburn, LSU. No, it goes Auburn, LSU, Texas A&M, and Bama, all in a row. That's like one of like the toughest like stretches of games in college football right now. And now I'll get to the other one later. Like I said, but they have Kansas in the beginning of the year, and then they basically have no one else. They should be able to get through. They have Joe Moorhead. He's the old Penn State offensive coordinator. Should be a better offense. The problem with their offense last year was they ran the ball way too much. Nick Fitzgerald actually was like top 80 in like rushes as a quarterback, and not top 80 as a passer. So that needs to change. He's like one of the only key players that are coming back that I've saw. But yeah, they need to stay healthy through those games. Maybe there's an outside chance. They went 9-3, 9-4 last year, but I feel since they have a home game against Auburn, they have a home game against Texas A&M, I think they'll probably lose to Auburn and Bama and maybe someone else in between. I have them going 9-3, which is actually kind of surprising a little bit, but I kind of like them. 22, South Carolina, one of my teams I like watching or I have liked this year.
The Gamecocks.
Gamecocks, yes. Home against Georgia, home against Tennessee, away against Florida, away against Clemson. That's not a lot of tough games for them. Why? I don't know why. That's a good schedule for them. They're in SEC East. It's kind of wide open, even though Georgia's leading. Georgia's obviously championship game last year. Total offense for them.
But did they win?
Well,
Sorry, continue.
Okay. Their total offense was at 102, which is not good. Total defense is at 52, but their offensive efficiency was at 57, and their defense efficiency was at 42. I think the reason why they're more efficient because they gave up less penalties. They were 24th in the country last year. This is when I get into the stats where I actually did that, but they only had a +4 score difference, which is not good, and that's why you see like they just need to get a better offense. I guess they need to be more offensive heavily. They do have Jake Bentley and then Ryan Edwards coming back for them. For me, I like their schedule setup. They should get through the games that I didn't notice. They have a home game against Georgia. That's a big game for them. They have a home game against Tennessee, away game against Florida, and an away game against Clemson. So they went 9-4 last year. I have them going 10-2 this year, which is kind of big. And then we'll get into something else later with them. Texas. I don't know why they're ranked.
This is your rankings. You tell me why they're ranked.
No, I didn't rank. No, this is like a rankings that I've gone on like general and just went through.
Okay,
I didn't rank these. No, my rankings. I only have 10 ranked teams.
Okay, fair enough.
So here we go. 21, Texas. They have a home game against USC, a home game against TCU, away game, which is on a neutral site against Oklahoma. I have maybes against Oklahoma State and West Virginia because I don't know if Texas is going to be relevant to even make those a big game.
Dust.
But plus sides, they have the top third. They were third in the recruiting class this upcoming year, which I don't think it means a lot. Also, I like Herman. He's like a decently good coach. He came from, I want to say he came from Oklahoma before he went to Texas. And then last year, though, they were terrible in penalties. They were at 112th with 92 penalties.
Dang. So they're the Oakland Raiders of college football.
Yes, very much. So yeah, they had a 7 points, 7-point spread or plus for them. So they need to increase that. They need to score more points on offense. Sam Ehlinger is going to be their guy that hopefully they're going to lead them. They went 7-6 last year. This channel was actually based off doing college football stuff, and I actually had them going 6-6, so it was actually correct. And I'm going to have them going 6-6 this year again. I think they just don't have enough at all. I'm sorry, Texas. You're not good. Sorry. 20, Florida State. Big games. Home game against Virginia Tech early, away against Miami, home against Clemson, away against North Carolina State, away at Notre Dame, home against Florida. I feel like with this higher ranking, they have less pressure on them because they're not in the top 10 or top 5. They do have Willard Target, like I mentioned before. He went from Oregon to here. There's a weird.
Did he take the Oregon Trail?
Maybe he might have took it back.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
But regardless, they only threw the ball for 200 yards, or they were under 200 yards a game. They need to increase that. I know they have James Blackman coming back, and Cam Akers, running back. But they also I forgot his first name, but Francois is going to be back from his injury because he got hurt in the first game of the year last year. They need to increase their points difference to make up for that, but I don't see them doing really well this year at all, just because of the coaching change and the quarterback situation, and it just doesn't look good for me. I have them go. They went 7-6 last year, and I have them going 7-5, so that's not good. 19 TCU, my Big 12,
Texas.
My Big 12 favorite out of all these teams for the Big 12. They big games. They play Ohio State at a neutral site, Texas away, Oklahoma away against West Virginia. I think games to watch though would be the Kansas State game away and the Oklahoma State game home, just because I don't know if Kansas State are gonna have some kind of, if they're gonna grow balls. This depends because they play a lot of interesting games, and though I'm only gonna watch the Oklahoma
Kansas
State
State
game.
just got called out.
Well, no, I don't know. It just depends. There's always that weird team in the Big 12 that's weird. It just shows up out of nowhere. Oklahoma State, I'm going to watch that because obviously they're playing Boise, and Boise wins that game, so that game's going to be more relevant. They have a Heisman hopeful quarterback. A lot of people like this Sean Robinson. He's like a sophomore. But they did lose Kenny Hill, their quarterback. He's not in the NFL at all, I don't think, but they lost him. Yeah, they need to make the Ohio State game entertaining because of the way people don't like the Big 12 as much, just because, I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird system. And I have a lot of faith in Gary Patterson to get it done. With Urban Meyer's situation going on right now, it's weird. And we'll get into Ohio State when we get to that point. They had a 16-point difference this past year, which is really good, against a lot of good defenses. And I think they went 11-3 last year, but I have them going 9-3 this year. So hopefully that, I don't think it's going to get them in the college football playoff, but they do better than that. I have a minimum going 9-3. LSU, the toughest schedule in college football, I feel. They have a neutral site against Miami, away against Auburn, home against Florida State, away against Georgia, home against Mississippi State, home against Bama, away against Texas A&M. Like I said, one of the toughest schedules. They do have a transfer quarterback from Ohio State, Joe Burrow. But I don't know if they're going to be able to survive. They have a really good defense. Defensive efficiency last year was 14 overall with a total defense of 12. If they can keep that efficiency and get the offense going, which is kind of bad because they have a lot of holes, like Geis, Chalk, and Etzling, Danny Etzling, I think that's how you say his last name, are gone. Or even Darian Williams, actually, my bad. So they lost a lot on offense. So if they're not able to replace that, that's not good. They went 9-4 last year. I have them going 7-5. Not good for LSU.
No
fans.
bueno.
UCF.
Tigers?
The only
Tigre?
no, Golden Knights for UCF.
No, sorry.
LSU.
I was still on
Okay.
LSU. You said they were going to go 7-4. I was like, no bueno.
Yeah. UCF, the only team that went undefeated last year, they went 13-0. They have a home game against FAU. A lot of people were hyped up for FAU for some reason because of Lane Kiffin. Away against North Carolina. I put a question mark against the Pitt game, which is a home game for them. And at the tail end of the season, they can lose to anyone basically. It just depends on their team. They have Mackenzie Milton returning, who was like a number 7 quarterback last year overall, like as in like stats. They're really efficient on defense, even though they didn't really have a good defense. I think the only reason why they were efficient because they were tied for second in interceptions with 20 and tied for 13th in fumble recoveries with 12. So that's really efficient. So like I said, they went 13-0 last year. I have them going 11-1 because I feel like they're going to slip up a game because they lost a couple guys on defense that are just – it's going to depend. And I think they might have lost their coach too. I have to double check that. West Virginia.
Did you say it's almost heaven?
What?
Never mind. Sorry.
Almost?
It's John. Oh, you don't even know John. You told me the other day you don't know who John Denver is. Never mind.
Yeah.
It was a John Denver joke, but it's okay.
Oh, damn. Here we go. West Virginia. No neutral site against Tennessee. Away against NC State. Notice I have NC State in a lot of these games. Away at Texas. Home at TCU. Away at Oklahoma State. Home against Oklahoma. Last 4 weeks are all for those last 4 that I said, so it's going to be tough in a way. But they have Will Greer, who is a big Heisman hopeful guy. He was the number 20 quarterback last year, and there's a lot of quarterbacks that are gone from this past year. You also have Gary Jennings Jr. coming back to throw to, and Danny Sills Jr. to throw to as well. They definitely have a lot more coming back. They lost a couple guys, but I think they'll be able to replace them. They went 7-6 last year. Unfortunately, I had them going a little bit better. They slipped up against Virginia Tech last year. Unfortunately, they need to run the ball better to improve this record that I have. But I think they're gonna go 8-4 if they can run the ball and free up some of the passing lanes. They'll have a better record than 8-4. Next, 15, we have USC. Yeah, whatever that is. I know it is. Away, the Trojans. Away at Stanford early. Away at Texas. Home against, I put Washington State on there. Away at Arizona. Away at Utah. Away at UCLA. And home against Notre Dame. I didn't pick UCLA. I think they play someone else early in the season. I'm not going to have them rated that high. I think at the end of the season they'll be able to pick it up because of Chip Kelly. Here we go. Hopefuls. I hope UNLV beats them in the first week just because I wrote that as a note. It's going to be an interesting quarterback battle in a way. I think JT Daniels from Mater Dei, who's like down the street from us.
Mater Dei.
He's right now one of the head guys that might get that spot. They were tied last year, or no, they were 126 in penalties last year. They need to bring that number down to get better. They had 107 penalties, which is terrible. But they did lose a lot of guys. They lost Sam Donald, Ronald Jones, and DeAndre Burnett. I'm going to say Bertrand for some reason. But they also have Tyler Bonds, who's come back and replacing Burnett for them. They need to stop the bleeding, though, for this team. They only had a +6 score difference with a great offense. Their defense needs to pick up the slack. So they went 11-3 last year. I have them going 8-4. They're going to slip up some games.
Yikes.
So, sorry. When you have to replace all those players, it's just not going to go well. Sorry. 14, Stanford. Home game against San Diego State. A lot of people rate San Diego State. They lost Rashad Penny. I don't know why they have them so high. But anyways. Home game against USC. Away against Notre Dame. Home against Washington State. Away against Washington. Away against UCLA. If they can take the South out real early with that USC game, they're basically in the driver's seat just for like North games, but they just have to. The South is going to be a cluster in the Pac-12 for sure this year. I think they have the best player or one of the best players in college football, Bryce Love, who was like a number 2 running back overall last year in stats. I think I know how he has 2 last names. I'm just going to say Whiteside. I don't know how to pronounce the other one, but he's returning. He's a great. I enjoyed him. He's a good piece for them. He I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. You got to watch Stanford games to understand it. I guess for me, I don't know how to explain it. Last year they were 12th in interceptions with 18. They need to keep that up. They went 9-5 last year. I think with all those games said, at the end of the year, I think the Washington UCLA game is going to be kind of tricky for them. But I have them going 8-4 as a worst record, not the best record. I think they can do better than that. Just that minimum, they'll go 8-4. 13, Michigan State. They have an interesting schedule. Away at Penn State, home against Michigan, home against Ohio State, and that's it.
They're done.
They can get through the first 5 weeks reasonably. The back-to-back games, I think, is the Michigan or the Penn State Michigan game, which the Michigan game is home. So 2 out of those 3 games are home games for them. And they have some returning guys. They have Brian Lewert. I can't read. Ellis Scott and Felton Davis III. I think they're going to be able to increase that +4 difference last year. They went 10-3 last year, which is actually pretty good, and I think they're going to go 10-2, and they might be able to sneak in on their side, which is like the tougher side of the Big Ten, just because of like how they have that schedule set up. They don't have to play Wisconsin, but there's an Iowa or it's a random team that they might beat them, but I don't see that happening. Next, we have another Michigan team, the Wolverines. Wittenberg's little brother goes there. Away at Notre Dame.
Shout out to Alec Wittenberg.
Home against Wisconsin. Away against Michigan State. Home against Penn State. And then home against Ohio State. I think the Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Penn State game are back-to-back-to-back. Tough stretch of games right there. Can you please win, Jim Harbaugh?
That's not what he's there for. He is there to wear khaki pants.
I understand that.
And look cool.
For me, it's like I really like Jim Harbaugh. I used to like watching Michigan before. I think it was who was the coach?
Boeheim.
No, Rich Rodriguez.
Ignore that. I don't know
Rich
why I said
Rodriguez
Boeheim.
went there and kind of ruined that whole just system, and then they had Brady Hoke. I think that's his name. That came in. Yeah, it was bad. I enjoy watching Michigan games. Me and my dad used to watch Michigan games all the time. It would be Notre Dame, Michigan, and then we would watch whatever else was out. But I have them they went 8-5 last year. I have them going 9-3 with Shea Patterson and Kareem Higdon coming back.
Higdon,
whatever. How you say his last name. Should be good pieces. I don't know. We'll see. I just don't understand how he's not winning. That's my problem. That's my gripe. But I have them going 9-3. It's only a 1 game plus difference from last year. But I believe they'll be better. They have a decent defense. They had a number 3 defense last year, so it's not bad.
Do better, Jim Harbaugh.
Exactly. Miami, neutral site against LSU, home against Florida State, away against Virginia Tech. That's it. They should be able to beat everyone else. Malik Rosier and then Travis Homer coming back for them. Malik, he was like the 30th best quarterback last year, so that was pretty decent. There's a lot of gaps because like a lot of guys left this past year are just done from the previous year. Defense, a really good defense, tied for 15th with 17, and then tied for 7th with 14 fumble recoveries. This is kind of long, isn't it? How long is this? Oh, we're good. 10-3 is what they went last year, but I think they're going to go 9-3 this year. Either going to lose the 2 games, 2 out of the 3 games that I noted right now, plus 1 just random game. I'm not sure if they play. Maybe I might have missed the NC State. If they're playing NC State, they might lose to them too. We'll see.
Can I ask a question real quick?
What?
How come there's a game's difference? Is it like a bowl game or something? So like they were 10-3 last year, but you have them going 9-3.
There's a bowl game difference, and then there's also the conference championship game.
Okay, just making sure.
So that's why there's like way more. Like why Boise State's like record was like wait, how's that? Yeah,
Okay.
You play 12 games. It used to be 11. Then people are like, oh no, we're gonna play 12. Not for money, no. Just like to have a better record. Sometimes it just looks better when you try to squeeze in the extra non-conference game. To like, oh, we played this team, so yeah.
Okay.
And then but money's a thing that's you've added to it too, yeah.
Okay.